you like. And we are live. What I learned at WonderCon, plus an unboxing. Today on episode 393 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47. And yep, hey, it's Trekland Trek season. Nicer weather means folks are coming to LA, Southern California, and working out ahead of time on their spare day, a Trekland Trek, a unique customized away mission to actual Star Trek location sites, not the stages, but the location sites out and about. I just had a couple, weekend before last. Had a great day. Looking forward to another year. More planned. You can get in on it. It's right at treklandtreks.com or my site, larrynemecek.com. Hey, are you ready for another Tuesday here of some sanity, clarity, and a bigger picture in all things Star Trek? Well, I know I am. And I'm going to know it, especially if I have the chat window open. There we go. Yay. Hey, everybody. Thanks. Welcome back for another Tuesday here. We're globally. We've got folks on many continents this time of day. It's great to do that. We are, well, this is our 7th year of doing this. Yes. Coming up on 8 pretty soon. It's kind of amazing. Spring is a time of anniversaries, it feels like. And the anniversary, though, I care about right now is another Tuesday with everybody. If you're new to Tuesdays Live, Trekland here, you've got to go introduce yourself in the chat. We've got a great bunch of TTLers. Again, they're from all over the world. Let us know where you're from if you're new. I'd love to know how you found your way here. Just to mention that if you are on Facebook, you're only seeing the Facebook comments. If you're on YouTube, which is the place to be, or Twitch, you'll see all the comments, right? And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you feel like it, if you're enjoying what you see, please, we're monetized. We have Super Chat, and you can ding the Super Chat button there and throw in a little change to help things out around here. And I appreciate it. Otherwise, TTL here is not monetized because it's so old. It was in the before times. And it's great to be here with you. But you know what? If you are coming to us, if you're watching later on YouTube, you missed the live. Hey, I hope you can join us sometime at 1-ish Tuesday Pacific, 4-ish Eastern time. And that's even when we're all aligned and the summer times are all aligned. That's actually 9 p.m. UK time and 10 p.m.-ish Central Europe. But also, if you're on YouTube, you can see all the... if you can see all the chat and you can do live. But if you're watching later, please go ahead and keep the conversation going. Please sound off. I love seeing comments. You know, sometime I've been thinking about maybe starting a mailbag that's just the YouTube comments, because some episodes obviously get more than others. Folks talk. Last week we had John Billingsley. Next week I have a guest, Brian Volk-Weiss from the Nacelle Company, is going to be on to talk about those incredible action figures that have been so long overdue and needed. And we'll talk a little bit about the success and the rise of the Nacelle Company and what Brian's take on all things geekery is, but even as he's running a professional studio. Well, that's next week. You don't want, no fooling. No fooling. Notice how I didn't mention April Fool's Day at all today. Partly because the times we're living in, you almost can't tell the onion from real life, sadly. But wherever you are, I hope you're keeping hold of your sanity and your clarity. Hopefully we can all enjoy a bigger picture in Star Trek. Yeah, it's a big week. It's a busy week. For nothing happening in Star Trek, it's turned into a busy week. But I want to start with, and we have an unboxing coming up later, don't forget that. But I want to start with the title here, What I Learned at WonderCon. Now, for those of you who don't know, WonderCon has been, for probably 20 years or more, kind of the little brother to the big San Diego Comic-Con. It started in San Francisco. It was a home-owned con. The San Diego Comic-Con, Comic-Con International folks acquired it, started running it. It was always in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. And then about 15 years later, there was some major... That's downtown. That's an urban center. It'd be like the Javits Center in New York City. And that in an urban environment, right? Not suburban, not spread out. And about 15 years ago, I guess, gosh, The Moscone Center underwent a lot of renovation, and they had to find a new place for a year and tried it down at Anaheim, at the Anaheim Convention Center, in a town that's otherwise known for everything Disney. And what are you coming here for if it's not for something that's secretly actually about getting to go to Disney, to get to the real Disneyland? And it's in California Adventure and all that. And the resorts now in downtown Disney. Well, it's been an interesting time. Suffice to say that WonderCon never went back to San Francisco. They spent some time weighing whether they would try the LA Convention Center. That was experimental. That was a dabbling event for a time or two. Now, the LA Comic Con, which is normally like in November, early December, it's made LA's Convention Center its home after it went through several name tries. It's settled down with just plain old Los Angeles Comic Con, which is interesting considering that whole Comic Con name lawsuit. But I digress. WonderCon has always been like the springtime little brother warm up for Comic Con. Now, that's not fair. It's an entity unto itself. It is smaller. A lot of people love that. A lot of people love how it's smaller and not the monster. I mean, you've really got to almost go into San Diego with your battle armor on. You've got to have a plan. The days are long gone. The COVID, the pandemic, put a little bit of a dent in that, but it's coming back just about as big or bigger as it was, even though our personal habits might be a little different about how we approach being in large places, right? But WonderCon gets a lot of praise for being the convention that people say, oh, it's what Comic-Con was 10 years ago. Well, it's more like it was what it was 20 years ago, because Comic-Con's been pretty blown up since 05, 06, 07. Actually, it was Twilight, I have been told now, the wisdom of the ages. It was the Twilight year and Marvel Cinematic Universe blowing up about the same time. But then it was really Twilight that blew up Comic-Con. In my innocence, the first year or two I went down after Star Trek, and not being a comics fan, who knew, but being dragged down to see what's going on. I'm kind of sampling the turning of the generations before it went there. And about the same time, a few years later, I had my first WonderCon, the last one in San Francisco, and then the first one in Anaheim during a monsoon. Very memorable. It was clear that Anaheim, nor the convention center, knew what was to befall them, right? Because anything in that convention center is secretly only there for people to get to go to Disneyland, right? In fact, the first year WonderCon was at Anaheim, it had a middle half, maybe the middle third of the convention center, the entire length of it, the exhibition floor. 1/3 or so was the California State High School cheerleading championships of at least some classes. And all these cheerleaders and their sponsors and their parents are running around. And the other end was the California State High School volleyball championships. I think it was women's volleyball. And it was all these volleyball girls and their parents and their chaperones and coaches running around. And in the middle was the first edition of WonderCon at Anaheim. And the first blush was, wow, look at all this athletic cosplay. But it's grown a lot since then. It's still the little brother to Comic-Con. What I didn't realize, and we've the last few years have been trying to submit pitches for panels, and had a panel. Usually, like I would always say, please, please, please let me have Saturday or Sunday, just not Friday, not Friday traffic to Anaheim from LA and now from Riverside County. Please spare me that. The weekend is the weekend, but it's so much better, and no set rush hours, most of all. Well, I forgot this year. Forgot to mark that off. So our panel was Friday. It was great. It was awesome, but the traffic was not horrible. What was amazing was the parking. Always park in the Disney Toy Story lot. The parking was nothing. The crossing the street traffic, nothing. Now, this was about 11 in the morning, and I thought, oh my God, the Canadian boycott has been taking advantage here. No, I just found out that was early Friday. Saturday is always a peak day, but I didn't realize how much it had dropped off. at that time of day on a Friday, because people don't want to go to Anaheim in the traffic on a Friday, on a weekday, much less a Friday weekday. So that was the first thing I learned, was that I'd never been to WonderCon on a Friday. It had always been Saturday, maybe a Sunday. Of course, Sunday, the attendance starts to dip down too. But it was a great day. We got everything done. Our panel, you may have seen, is a topic that I've brought up here from time to time. We just had a great discussion on the European edition of our Ask Dr. Trek Roundtable in Portal 47, namely how we can talk about what we want in Star Trek, but a lot of the big picture decision making is going to be on the studio level, which is in flux, and the industry level, which is in flux. And have we ever been at a crossroads point like this, an inflection point like this before? It was a great panel. The panel was in flux, but you saw me posting a big shout out there to John Champion and Anne-Marie Butler and folks we had to lose, and Tony Kim from Hero Within, Enrico Anderson, great actor. A lot of opinions, a lot of the point was, we were about 2:00 on a Friday and the place was not very full. So we had about half a room. What's amazing is later that day, I went to a 6:00 panel that Tony from Hero Within, the great Hero Within company, who had a booth there doing a flourishing business. He was heading that one up, and it was about getting into Star Trek for the first time. Now, I wanted to see what the audience was. I wanted to see how many first-time young kids were in the audience. Well, the audience wound up being about 80 to 90% faces I knew well. And it was a full room, because just between 2-ish and 6-ish, the place had pretty well filled up. WonderCon is what I'm going to call mostly a commuter con. It's like small state colleges. Now, I think the guests are there, and the vendors and support staff are all there. And a lot of people have taken hotel rooms. But I think a lot of folks just drive back because it's greater Orange County and LA County. But I did learn a little bit there, right? I learned that, that size of things on a Friday, what a Friday looks like. I also learned, because I took my patented raise your hand for the Star Trek that brought you into fandom, made you a fan. I learned that audience is we're still in the TOS and TNG, days, with hands starting to go up here and there for some of the other series later on. The newer series people follow them. Longtime fans are watching, but what was a watershed moment? What was a paradigm shift? It hasn't started to show up yet. Part of this is about the old, do you have enough income to get yourself to a convention? Do you have enough wherewithal? Do you own a car? Can you buy a train ticket? Some of that has still got to play out over the next few years. Do you have enough disposable income to go? That's going to happen. For now, we're still in that, the bulk mode, which was at least the 2:00 Friday, 2:30 actually, 2:30 Friday audience. I don't think it had shifted a whole lot by 6, at least in that room at that time. Yeah. Another thing I learned at WonderCon was a lot of people on the Star Trek cruise go to WonderCon. And I had lots of people that I hadn't known before or met or whatever came by. One literally patted me on the back when I was charging a computer and I had to turn around. Nice job on the cruise. It was great to see you on the cruise, which was interesting. I mean, I just, you think about things in boxes. And I guess I'm going to become more and more aware of the cruise's impact on fandom and fandom culture. Not a huge shift, but just that awareness as it grows in popularity. And at last accounting, it's another year away, and they're practically getting down to just a few dozen cabins left. I mean, it was 80% sold out the day before we docked. I've not heard a for sure percentage yet, but it's getting there. What I learned at the panel that we presented was that, again, it was like half a room. You had to be serious folks to be there, apparently, on a Friday at 2:30. But a lot of WonderCon fans there, Trek fans that found themselves in the room, They have no idea. Not everyone, but a sizable chunk of the audience had no idea about some of those dots that we're talking about. The industry, the studio, much less the franchise, and what's going to determine the future, which is a good thing. People were hungry, people were curious and interested, and yeah, we were connecting dots in real time live. I was throwing out points, the panel was commenting on things that you could tell a lot of people didn't realize, hadn't stopped to think about, or they knew X, but they didn't know Y or Z. Just add silent E. Okay, sorry. Another thing I learned at Comic-Con, at WonderCon, I should say, another thing I learned at WonderCon was that apparently the great Nick Meyer, after years of kind of being a Star Trek avoidance curmudgeon, he begrudgingly go out and do the last 5 years or so, increasingly 10 years on, as he's been whipping out these incredible Sherlock Holmes novels, which there's a new one out, and the last one is coming this fall. He's verbally said this. He's now made peace with his Star Trek legacy. Not that he ran from it before, but he was busy doing other things, as any creative would like to be known for doing other things. And believe me, he's been known for his Sherlock Holmes book. They've won acclaim and reviews and kudos. They're selling well, otherwise he wouldn't be on his 8th, I believe. Yeah. But he's made peace with his Trekishness, and he's even grown to like it. Nick was, sure, he was promoting his book, but he was all over. He was at Tony's 6 o'clock panel. He had a one-off by himself. He was in at least 2 or 3 other events over the weekend that were kind of tangential, but grabbing him in. He was at Brian Volkweiss's Nacelle Figures panel on Sunday. The action figures of characters that have not been notably represented, if at all, in past iterations of action figures from Trek. Nick is putting himself out there, and it's been a great thing to see, and people appreciate it. And anything from Shakespeare to just raconteur, just knowledge of the world and his time in media and his time of being a wonderkind, right? When he was a boy wonder with the 7% solution, and then taking no writing credit for Wrath of Khan, although he saved it as he directed, and then everything he's done since. And then trying to find himself in some of those projects after so much acclaim from Star Trek and the 7% solution. I'm sorry, Time After Time. I keep saying 7% solution because it's Sherlock Holmes. Time After Time is the movie, which was also set in San Francisco and involved time travel, which he talked about at one point on that panel. It's really funny. I mean, it's a little bit like Ralph Sinensky, who confided to in this last wave of interviewing, the last great director still with us from the original series, who must be 102, 103 coming up. Amazing. He gave us classic episodes. He directed Spock and the Spores, right? This Side of Paradise. Metamorphosis, right? The first Ephraim Cochrane story. So many. And then was doing Tholian Web and got screwed by wardrobe not having those silver spacesuits ready, and then scheduling the stage crew, putting those scenes first and not being in communication enough to know that they should shoot them last so they could still keep working on them. Not being finished and shooting them first threw him behind, and the newly purchased Paramount Pictures, who had just bought Desilu, Douglas S. Kramer, fired him after 3 days. Incredible for his track record in the industry, much less on Star Trek, and then publicly humiliated him in the trades. If you go back and listen to some Trek Files, if you're Portal 47, you know we had Ralph on. It was shameful, and he couldn't work for 2 or 3 years. He was basically blackballed. Finally, thanks to some friend producers, got him on the Courtship of Eddie's Father, and then he directed a ton of the Waltons, other shows. Then, retired on his own terms. But about 10 years ago, he was directing a community theater production of You Can't Take It With You, and 2 young people in the cast were huge Trek fans, and they found out the Ralph Sinensky was directing their play, and they couldn't stop talking to him about the questions. And when he was fired, he was burned. He got back in the industry. He had a career again. He got his good name back in the industry. But Star Trek, Star Trek was mud to him. And he didn't want to talk about it. You can understand why, which was a crime because he directed so many classic shows and should be out there taking credit and taking his share of the limelight, especially the way Star Trek has evolved. And we've tried to do that the last 5 or 10 years. Scott Mantz with his podcast, me with my Trekland activities, other people have been getting Ralph out there. But it took a while. Now, I don't think Nick is as extreme as that situation. But, I mean, you can tell. You could tell. Nick Meyer was never shamed. It was always on him how much he wanted to dip into this, how much his comfort zone was. And he's got that sharp, sneaky wit. In fact, one of the things I learned at WonderCon was that you can be innocently sitting in the audience for a panel. And woe beside you if you know the person who's moderating the panel that you're watching, because you might get called out to answer a question that's been put to the rest of the panel. Like I'm in the panel branch office or something, which was funny. That panel was all about how to enter Star Trek if you're new to it, or how do you get friends? How do you evangelize Star Trek with your friends? And had that specific question thrown at me point blank. You owe me, Tony. And then even they moved on and then circled back, warned me they'd circle back. And then they actually did. He actually did after they'd gone through a couple of questions. But the other thing I learned that is even as you're sitting in an audience and you might get called out by the panel to take up some of their precious panel time, somebody else on the panel, if that some person is Nick Meyer, if you happen to mention the fact that your mother, who made your first uniform for you after being a Star Trek skeptic at first, and then saw the light, your normally supportive mother anyway, and you happen to mention that she's passed now, and then you learn that Nick Meyer just might jump in and say, "Oh, Larry, we don't say she's passed. We say she's on location." That was the most unusual non-panel panel that I've ever been on, or non-participation panel that I've ever been on. But anyway, it was a great chance to have a hoot with Nick for a minute, and watch the entire bunch. That room was full. That crowd was having a great time. What I learned also about WonderCon is that Star Trek is very much front and center there. People know, they see Trek. Put Star Trek in the name of your panel title, gang, so people can search for it and find it. And yes, if you Trek it, they will come. Now, I don't know what happened on Saturday and Sunday. Well, you know what? I do know a little bit. Thank you, social media. Thanks for providing that. Because what I learned is lobby conning is still a thing. Do you know what lobby con means? I found that some folks, I was a little surprised to know they didn't know what lobby con meant. Lobby conning is when either by the logistics, or more than likely the availability or the price of getting into an actual convention, especially in the days of hotel conventions, right? Not sprawling Comic-Cons, but when you had one basic hotel associated with a convention, maybe one or two or three. Lobby conning is when you don't actually go inside the convention, but you just stay in the lobby of the Rio, or you just stay in the lobby of the Anaheim Hilton, and you watch. You watch for the fans. It's a headquarters hotel. And you watch for fans you know, fans you don't know. You watch for the cosplay going by. You people watch. You celebrity watch. You might even, all three cross paths. And that was what happened after basically we were done with the hall. And after that, this panel that I stayed around for, lobby conning is still a thing. I say San Diego Comic-Con, by the time they basically have a carnival and a circus across through the gas lamp and through some of the big open areas, there is so much branded studio brought entertainment space where they rent out hotels, diners, restaurants, and open yards, open vacant lot space to put up a carnival like Midway. Some of the studios, some of the other brands, manufacturers, whatever, creators. There is so much you can get to there. For one thing, it takes a lot of space pressure off the convention center itself. So that opens up room there. It's been a development the last 10 years since the meltdowns 10, 12 years ago. But it also provides all kinds of free entertainment. People can bring their kids down and run around. You go up on the big pedestrian bridge over Ocean Boulevard one year I was videoing that and thought, well, my God, this is the world's largest lobby con. It's all of this space, the gas lamp and all this. But still, old school lobby conning just in the one hotel or one of the 2 or 3 main hotels is still a thing. Because that's where, who knows, the LA away team or your local fandom organization might be holding court there. You can see folks. You see a lot of cosplay running by. And, this isn't even about pricing. Sometimes you can't, you could get into WonderCon. San Diego Comic-Con, the passes are gone. If you don't know somebody that knows somebody that can get you in as a guest of a panel or an industry guest or a booth guest, and you missed out your chance, then you can still come in LobbyCon and see some stars when they go out to those remote branded spaces. Star Trek has done this when they have their pop-ups and their museum shows. You may have to deal with a line, but it's free. It's free the most part, aside from the merch they may have available. No, you all of those people, you might see, folks, you might see, I don't know, your colleagues from the cruise, from ECP, who were there for their own panel, which of course was the exact same time as mine at 2:30 on Friday. So it was a nice chance to be able to say hi anyway. You don't know who's going to cross paths because you might even meet someone like, I don't know, not just the great Neville Page, the great aliens designer for Star Trek here of the modern era, but you might meet his wife and his son Orion, who's, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, and was so excited to be there. I just happened to catch him in that Hilton lobby as they were checking in to get ready for tomorrow about his new books, The Beauty in the Beast, and a panel which he shared with Doug Jones. And Orion, his son, was so excited. I have a picture on my Instagram that doesn't do it justice. I wish I'd had video. He was so excited to tell me that he was going to get to meet Doug Jones because he's Saru, because he's on Discovery, and Discovery is his favorite Star Trek. And he was so excited to be at WonderCon. And his dad, mom were just so tickled. And I said, good job, Dad. And and then, so I'm wearing my badge and Neville goes, look who this is. Look who Larry is. And he went, Dr. Trek, that's incredible. I love Star Trek. I love Discovery. And I love Lower Decks. And I love Prodigy too. And. Oh, he was amazing. I mean, I think, Orion could easily be the best little ambassador for Star Trek ever. Next to Cadet Alice, I have to say. No, it was amazing, and just kept running into people like that, which of course is what happens. That's the fun, unpredictable upside of a con. And this was, again, WonderCon, San Diego's baby brother convention, still pretty good sized, and still on a par with a lot of the regional Comic Cons. And gang, none of this has anything to do with size. I think since the pandemic, we've all had and I've talked about this a few times, people are appreciating their local cons, their regional cons. No, the internet and even virtual streaming is not going to replace, it's not going to delete the ability to still meet up live, to have that human connection. Virtual was a lifeline during the pandemic, and it still is great to get things done and to meet up and have global and national meetups, even on the spur of the moment. But when you can plan, when you can have your annual, traditions, what have you, live cons are still going to be with us. Even the baby brother of Comic-Con, which I don't know, for some reason feels as memorable this year as ever. Not that I did anything more. It's like, what happened to me? Or I don't know, there's something in the air. Maybe in this world we're living in, we're all craving actual human connections with our friends, with like-minded folks who are excited about the future, excited about imagination, excited about science. Maybe it's just a little more reassuring that we still have those spaces to do that in, which I'd have to say. And again, the thing overall that I learned coming out of WonderCon was even at a multi-genre convention like that, Star Trek can still pack them in. Great audiences. The numbers are there. And once again, they are hungry. They are hungry. When is Strange New Worlds going to premiere? Did you see the leak from the Dutch satellite company that's going to have Strange New Worlds? And Depar saying it would be August 1st, in line with a day later, as has happened in the past. I hear talk about July. That would be a July date. And, July, again, is San Diego Comic-Con. And the studio is attached to nothing else officially, except for the cruise. No convention. So if they're going to use something as a platform promotion, it would be, third weekend-ish of July, San Diego Comic-Con. Will we get some news this week? Because, Saturday is First Contact Day. Happy First Contact Day, by the way. Early. They don't use First Contact Day much anymore for that kind of announcement. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens as we get closer to Comic-Con and see what's going on. The posters are out. I know Strange New World has nothing to do with WonderCon, but it's one of those things that Trek fans at this time right now, and I'm sure everybody in the chat today, everybody watching us live and later, is wondering about, right? They're hungry. They're hungry. Let's get on with this thing. Hey, look, that was just today's kind of a light rundown, it feels like, but still, it's good to have some touchstones. Meet the touchstones from something like WonderCon. And what I also want to say, though, is we talk about how there's not much Star Trek news going on, but this has wound up being kind of a busy week. Did you know that? First of all, yes, here's an early greeting for Happy First Contact Day, April 5th, right? How many years till the Vulcans? 2160. I got messed up ever since Mike had to change the date with First Contact. It was originally 2061, but then it had to be 2063, I think. I still do that. But here's the deal. Saturday is also a big day of protest. I know that's happening. Saturday is also, yeah, this is what I wanted to get to. The day of Trek Talks. Trek Talks 4th annual. John Billingsley was on with me last week here in the same space. He's all over the place talking about the Trek Talks to benefit the Hollywood Food Coalition and Allied Partners. And this has turned into a big Star Trek event. John and the great Bonnie Gordon are going to co-host a day. Just go to the site. So many guests. The last of the day is going to be Bob Picardo and Kate Mulgrew in a sit-down, just no holds barred for an hour. But before that, a day of wonderful panels, so many Trek notables involved. I get to, at 2 o'clock Pacific, get to highlight an idea I had last year, was so thrilled of. Now, this is delayed from January, right? The whole Trek Talks telethon is fire delayed from early January. It's normal time. It'll probably go back to January again next year. But here in April, and on First Contact Day, I've got a panel that celebrates the in-episode future dates of the Bell Riots and everything that happened with the sanctuary districts in future tense on DS9, and also the fact that it was the 30th anniversary of the episode, which was actually in January. So still the 30th anniversary year of a future set past visit of Earth history we didn't know about all about the homeless, the hungry, the mentally ill being cast out and kind of caged in, ostensibly for their own good, but all the more easier to be forgotten about, which the two-part past tense episode of DS9 was so brilliant. And at the same time is so infuriating to see some of those same problems. And that's the purpose of the panel. I'm going to be thrilled to be hosting Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf, who of course co-wrote that episode, which the whole DS9 team worked on, but they have the main credits. The great Terry Farrell, who was of course in the episode and was one of the 3 time travelers, except she got the break of hanging with all the privileged who she was able to manipulate and activate and trigger into finally helping out to do something to break the stalemate of the tragedy of history that unfolded. And then, so from Hollywood Food Coalition's own board, Blair Bursey, who's a longtime worker, activist, interested in all this about the homeless and the hungry, feeding the hunger that Hollywood Food Coalition does, and finding systemic resources to help alleviate that. But also the overlap with homelessness, the overlap with the mentally ill, and most of all, a battle-hardened veteran, not just somebody who's a great talker, but somebody who's been walking the walk. How do we do this? Why 30 years after this episode was written about a problem is the problem still with us? As the episode predicted, didn't want to. Anyway, that's at 2:00. We're going to be talking about the Bell riots and past tense and what's going on today. So thrilled to be moderating that one. But it's a day long. You want to make sure and have some time. You can if you can't be there live with the bunch, the live streams of all the panels flying by, you can make a contribution in advance. Yeah. The weekend's going to cap off with Yuri's Night globally, and there's a celebration in LA, getting back to the LA one too. I'm going to be part of that as well. It's a busy Saturday. Yeah. So for the part of the year that has failed us on Trek News, right now it's the activity is holding itself up. I think it's good that we can not be so much, as I said once a few weeks ago here, not so much distracted, but taking heart and recharging for all the activism, all the work, all the survival that we're all having to do right now, without so much fresh Trek to get us through, but with the legacy Trek. Now, one other thing that's going on right now is, especially with Legacy Trek, is things like still giving us an opportunity to have an unboxing. Yay! Now I'm going to finish this off. I think you may know what's going on. What has there been new? What has been new that is unboxable? Well, gang, let me get into this and I will find out. Oh, how you may have forgotten. Oh, how you may not have realized. It's a goodie. It's a twofer. First off, yep, it is the DVD, Blu-ray, hard media for the 5th season of Lower Decks. Yay. Out March 25th, actually a few days ago, a week ago. I got mine in time for this edition of Tuesdays Live. And you know what? With the 5th and sadly final, but defined final in the future. But the 5th season's ostensibly the final season. We also got the box set, all 5. So for all you folks very adroitly avoiding subscribing, and I know like 5% of the fan base is doing this. 5-ish% would consistently turn up on my newsletter polls saying they were doing this. I'm not subscribing. I'm waiting for the DVDs. I'm waiting for the Blu-rays, the hard media. Well, there it sits. And this is great. So the just the 1 hour, I mean, just the one season. Well, you can read the sticker here. There's all 5 episodes of season 5, right? There are 5 episode commentaries. And there's, what is this? There's 25 minutes of bonus material, as well as several commentaries on the disc, right? I mean, what an incredible final season. Whoa. Yes. As well as the continued development of Talin. Why wasn't she there at the beginning? One of the best mid-course corrections, I don't know, since 7 of 9? Since adding Worf? Since, oh, look, they almost all have that. The 5-season box, though, is great. Now, I mean, all the tech specs are up to what you expect, right? It's been out. The 10 discs in the 5-season box. There's almost 5 hours of special features. There's audio commentaries. There's lore dictionaries. I don't know. Buffer time is in here. There's all kinds of those features that you love, right? And overall, I say this every time we get to do an unboxing for a disc. Gang, we have been screwed. We have been jerked around by how the channels, by how the streaming platforms are treating content, right? Poor Prodigy. I think there's been a big, in fact, this came up at our future, what's determining the future of Trek. People have been burned by that, and they've gone back to. I was starting to think these were going to become obsolete and kind of a curiosity, right? Like vinyl records. But no, people are buying more hard media. They want what they want. If it's something that's important, and look, my shelf, the wall is finally finished. The shelves are going back up here and on the archive side, and my collection is getting put back up there. There's some oddball fan things up there too, and documentaries, and not exactly just episodes. But there's several shelves over there. The books in with the DVDs, and I think we're going that way. I think more and more people are dusting off their DVD or their Blu-ray shelves and going back to that. Well, you can now get your complete Lower Decks Season 5 set. It's been out since March 21st. Wherever you want to purchase, there's deals. I think there was a deal, a national deal just went down on Amazon, if you're still open to buying on Amazon. Don't know how far afield that goes to wherever you like to buy and pick up your DVDs, your Blu-rays, your hard media. But I mean, I don't even need to review the season, right? Everybody was just in love with season 5. The discs do it justice, and again, there's a big chunk of commentaries, big chunk of bonus features too. So, big thanks once again to Paramount and CBS Entertainment for letting me unbox and help spread the word if you've been distracted and didn't realize. 5th season Blu-ray, full 5 years. Get them while they're hot. Apparently the price is getting even hotter. All right. I think that's going to do it for the front end here today, gang. Again, hope to see you at Trek Talks on Saturday. Hope to see you across the socials on happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you had a St. Patrick's Day, but I'm going to say happy First Contact Day as well. And if you're in the greater LA area, maybe you make it out to Yuri's Night, which is the global celebration of the first person in space, Yuri Gagarin, the Soviet cosmonaut, the first time anyone was in space, actual space. And Gagarin was still, sadly, ahead of Alan Shepard and Gus Grissom's suborbital flights, too. So that's even a moot point. I hope we can maintain the international spirit through our current weird times. It took a long time to be able to get to there in the first place, and I hope we don't lose it in the process. All right. Okay, that's going to do it for me. If you're watching me later, hopefully you can join us live some Tuesday. Otherwise, for now, and folks live, hang with me. We're going to hit into the chat. But if you are leaving me now, please, please, please stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke. Check the sources. Oh my. And Trek well, everybody. Oh, we're going to edit that out because I was amiss. I've got so much on my mind. No, that's going to wrap it up for today. Yes, but I do have to say, of course, a big thank you. And this is shuffled a little here. A big thank you to our TTLers, our Patreon folk. All right. So thank you, Chuck A., James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, Helbjörg Gunjansson, Lawrence Todd, Greg Wickstrom, Mitch Keith, Andrew Jazimski, Josh Patton, Pranakasha Productions, Justin Weir, Chris Jiggins, Keith Rombach, and Comedy Forecast. Thank you very much. And then our live wires who are pitching in just a little bit more. That's Jesse at Cross Your Convo. Hey, Chris Garris, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Gary Williams, James Durovich, Dave Gregory, Dan Leckie, and Casey Shafsky. You too. We just changed over a new month, but you too can jump in if you're familiar with Patreon. It's patreon.com. I am / Trekland Live. $5, $10, or more. And $5 for that shout out and my thanks for your support. $10 the same, plus access to early generations of the early years of our Portal 47 behind the scenes guest night interviews, which go at least an hour, oftentimes an hour and a half, oftentimes 2 hours. I think Tim Peel has the record at 4 hours. We had a lot of stuff to get through, a lot of good graphics, and a lot of time to cover. Seriously, thanks to all of you for that. And I say it every week, I'm sitting down to get those interviews out to all of the live wires. Would you believe it? Hey, the other thing to celebrate this week is, it's a Tuesday for Trek Files, my podcast for Roddenberry, which you can find at podcast.roddenberry.com. You can find it on your podcatcher of choice, but also thetrekfiles.com at Memory Alpha. Takes you right to the entire collection. You scroll, you hit the new one, because guess what? Guess what? It's another special week. This week is our 300th episode. Yes, with, I double dipped him. John Billingsley is our special guest for the 300th episode. We go back and look at the original first scribblings about Dr. McCoy, his Starfleet forebearer, although in timeline it's descendant, but it's the scope of the production of the show, the original Starfleet doctor, and we look at the threads that do and don't connect McCoy to Phlox, as well as all the other Starfleet doctors in the line. And of course, we get in a mention for Trek Talks 4 this week, this Saturday. So, yes, the Trek Files is up. Appreciate everybody going over there and checking that out. My socials, boom, it's at Larry Nemecek for Twitter, for Blue Sky, and also there on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's Larry's Trekland on Facebook and Instagram, and that portal47.net for all you folks who get the post-con blues and wish the con could go on all year long. Well, the mini-con can go on all year long, every month with the Portal 47 package. Love for you to jump in with us and deep dive as the Portales do. And now I want to say, if you're watching later, I hope you can watch us live some Tuesday. But if you are leaving us now, please comment away in the commentaries. And until next time, please stay healthy, do all the things. Stay woke, check the sources, and trek well, everybody. Okay. Now, let's go deep dive with the chat dive and see what's going on. There we go. Glad to see everybody, by the way. Hi, Softs. Are you new with us on Tuesday? Maybe. I'm seeing everybody. Cake, it feels like it's been a while, but hey, howdy ho. There's a Facebook. Christoph, you're the only one on Facebook there. But howdy, Carl and Joel, and so many. And hi, Sherry, Ma Baloney. Yes, Plushy Leonard is right there. Plushy McCoy. Apparently so. Chuck A, hi again, and thanks again for being a Patreoner. Um, hey, Analysis, happy April Fool's Day. Hey, it's not April Fool's Day. Is that too meta? Too silly? Yeah. Too silly. Too silly. Um, yes, Carl, I did see this. The Kindle version of the Black Edition, the final edition of the Next Gen Companion for all those who are, it's insanely priced as a collectible now, but you can get the Kindle at a reasonable price. I have not seen if it was on sale again today. Somebody noted me on that, and I forwarded it. I reposted whatever. I wondered about if I should start trying to do a mailbag. Of course, then I'm dependent on how many comments are on the YouTube later. So, oh, John's not going anywhere. You can't get rid of him, don't you know? Hey, David, it's been a while, I think, but good to see you too. Yes, yes. Oh, you know what? I was talking about local fandoms. I also should give a shout out to the USS Angelus here, the local Starfleet chapter. 30 years old is the Angelus, and they're celebrating with a celebration this Saturday, also on April 5th. April 5th is a big day. Big day. Congrats to them. Scott, it's good to see you in some form or other. Yeah, you can tell the difference there. This is Starfleet HQ this is Trekland HQ version 2.5, maybe. So we finally got over the hump there. No, Sherry, I couldn't. They haven't popped in. They may be to Gen Y or Gen Z, or not Gen Y, Gen Alpha, to see me and know me and bop in. But I'm open to. I'll be happy to credit. I finally got the name of the pianist who was accompanying the La La Land's concert for the original series music. Let's see. It's the video that's on my shirt. What are you saying, David? Shared that you're live on Facebook. Oh, my little Star Trek group. NX. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Melanie. Yes, the sirens are going. Yeah, Analysis. Tons of people like small cons. They're especially the people that get off on just being able to hang with their friends and don't worry so much about the celebrity or the big vendors. You know, that's not a thing for them. John X. It feels like it's been ages. There you go. Boom, boom. See who's going. Pizza pie? It's not Pie Day. That was last month. Okay. Overrun by teens and chaperones. Yes. And drowned people who had to bus in from the Angels Stadium because the parking was overloaded in a monsoon and the overhang shades are not big enough to contain hundreds of fans. It was on there. Some of the renovations in the Rio, still ongoing. There was a lot renovated last year, but there we go. Eyes are turning now to the summer cons. We'll see what's happening. This is true, Carl. While you like having more guests at the larger cons, going wall to wall is a pain. Call the cattle call cons. I'm enjoying the smaller cons more and more. Yeah, especially I call the European conventions I've been to that have been at modern facilities where they're kind of industrial, and they even have like corrugated tin. Like to me, is an old cattle barn, right? My grandpa's barn was the corrugated sheet iron. Literally cattle call. Yeah, that's what I think of. And the monkey stands, the monkey cages where they're all lined up in a row and people have to make long lines to go see the actors. Yes. May, howdy doody. Glad you could join us today too. Happy almost first contact day. Yeah, well, we're 4 days away, right? Oh, David, you're like the last person. I mean, yes, we can still do the hands up thing or do the chats up thing. Uh, yeah. Well, this is true, Sherry. This is true. Ma, I should say here. Income or sometimes a gift. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's sad that we've lost so many of the first generation. And, within another, well, I won't even go there. It's the inevitable march of time, right? Right. I had the chance to meet Jimmy several times. We were co-guest. The first time I ever got to Europe, we were co-guests at a convention, and he just took us under his wing. And I didn't have that much to do with the original series, aside from being a fan. Didn't have the chance to work with Jimmy, aside from being colleagues as guests. So, but he was amazing. He was, yeah, such a great guy. Your first con, Scott, was a 13th birthday present from your parents, who took you to San Francisco to see Leonard and Majel. Yeah. It's almost like watching the shows, and we have memories of family that were introducers of us. Howdy, Mark. Good to see you. Huh. Frank and Sons Collectibles, David. So what part of the world would that have been? I'm assuming that's in the States somewhere. But there you go. You've noticed this, John. Trekkies often seem to be ill-informed about current Trek events. Well, it's on one hand, it's a little bit of everything. There is a cutting edge, and there are people, whether it's sports, news gossip, or politics, or something in genre world, or I'd say science. I mean, whatever the topic is, there's people right at the cutting edge, not cutting edge of research, but the cutting edge of being aware, right? And then the folks right after them who are trying madly to keep up, and then people that I think want to know, they just don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the time in the day. They have 5 kids. They've got 2 jobs. They want to, but their life is just consumed with others. And that's why people still go to a convention. It was very refreshing to see that there's still that role, that it's not all just about meeting stars or meeting your friends. You can still learn stuff. That's not secret knowledge. It's not like something out of a franchise that we're gonna spoil you with. I mean, just current things that have been in the news, in the mainstream or entertainment media. They haven't crossed people's individual radar yet. And a con can be great about focusing that, which is another thing I learned from Comic-Con. So there is that, yeah. Oh, David, well, come on. It'll happen sometime. I'm not sure what part of the country you're in or whatever. Oh, well, Softs, you guys are sweet. It'll happen. Picturing Cyndi Lauper singing "Time After Time." Hey Tim, what this shirt? Oh, okay. You're welcome. And hey, Ian, I know you've been with us on Tuesdays. Yay. Oh, David. Well, I'd love to have you sometime. Unless we're special editioned, or the Geek Nation Tours, which is coming again for the first time in 10 years, not from lack of planning, but interruptions. We're planning to restart the big tour, the Geek Nation Tours tour next year. So that's going to be increasingly out there for people to save your pennies for. But David, it'll happen sometime. You'll come into a little bit of cash, or somebody will gift you something, or something will happen. Something will happen. Christian, good to have you with us also, of course. Trek It and They Will Come, a new teacher. I know, Scott, what do you think? Do you think we should do Trek It and They Will Come at TeePublic? Yeah, John, the older I get, the less April Fools. I mean, it used to be a big thing. The original StarTrek.com team always, and I wrote some, I may have them because the original site is basically gone. But they were always big to have 4 or 5 April Fool's Day news stories. Yeah, catching people unawares. Hey, myth dusters, you've never heard of lobby conning before. Well, that's an old school term. That's an old school term back from just little lit cons where the admission wasn't all that much and people couldn't afford it. Or, you know, kids, teenagers, college kids. There you go. Oh, you did, Scott? You lobby con San Diego? There you go. Well, guys, gosh, I'm glad I was able to share this concept with you. Someone, it may have been John Champion, told me he'd never heard that term before. So there we go. Yeah. Yes, Neville Page. And I absolutely agree, John. Bring those kids in. Well, here's how the conversation ended. After Orion got to kind of explode with enthusiasm, and I thanked him, and we talked for a minute or two, the last thing I said to him was they went away to go get checked in. And I said, well, do you have any friends? Which is kind of a disarming question. Like, no, I have no friends. Well, of course, kids have friends. But I said, do you have any friends? I said, or let me ask you this. Have you thought about sharing Star Trek with your friends? And you could just tell his mind blown. And Neville, his dad was like, yeah, we need to work on that, huh? So, you know, get that evangelizing going next. That's what we got to do. As I have said more than once in this space. Oh, thank you, Scott. Well, we do our part. I've got 4 episodes in the can I need to release, but we're creeping through season 2. It's oh, well, and thank you, Softs. And oh my gosh, it's the somehow much quieter. Where have you been hiding, Anne Marie? My gosh. Good to see you, hon. And Melanie, thank you for this information. You are the April Fool. Okay. Yes, it is. It's catching. The excitement of young kids is thrilling. And Orion was right up there with this is what I'm saying, Carl. The goofballs in promotion that want to have their perfect playbook, sometimes the real world trips them up. I don't know what the big deal is. Hey, Brandon, good to see you here on Tuesdays Live. Yay. Hey, Portales, tomorrow night, I have to send the reminders, but tomorrow night is Ask Dr. Trek Roundtable Prime. So for the Americas, primetime evening. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, by the way. Yeah, that's what it's kind of looking at. Well, you know, analysis saying that nerd and geek culture booms whenever we have real life gloom and doom. At least 2 cons you've been to, nothing Star Trek related. But that's the point. Remember, original Star Trek blossomed in the middle of Vietnam, the birth of the civil rights movement, the birth of the women's liberation movement, the birth of the the conservation movement, the ecology movement, right? The first Earth Day was 1970 after the oil slicks off Santa Barbara. So adversity is what birthed, you know, the desire to get away the draft in Vietnam. And yeah. Yes. All the upswell of the 60s. Okay. Hey, Willie, it's fine. You're here. Absolutely. Absolutely, Sherry. Good trouble. Gosh, Chuck, imagine that timing. Although the premiere, if it's right before Vegas, that means it's been just after San Diego Comic-Con, so it can be promoted maybe with a sneak peek at an episode to Summer All. So there you go. See how that works? Yeah. You have to renew your plates on Saturday. You mean your license plates for your car? I'm not sure. Well, thank you, Miss Dustards. The Trek Talks 4 here with John. Yeah, John's a hoot. How can you go wrong with having Billingsley as a guest? Hey, My Figure Universe. Thanks for a lot of your postings, too. across the socials. Yeah, it's going to be a busy, big day. Trek Talks is the Super Bowl of Star Trek. Get some snacks, get comfy, and hunker down for the day. Excellent advice, Scott. Excellent advice. Absolutely. Analysis. You'd love to watch Saturday, but you can't. Well, 2 points there. One, if you want to give some cash ahead of time, you can, or even later. And B, it'll all be virtual, so it's all there. You can go back and watch the prior years too. Now what? Derek, you're in on the second version of the Merchantman? You mean the ship? You mean the redresses for TNG after it was used on screen for Star Trek 3? You're talking about the physical model or a CG? But thank you for saying hi and dipping in here. That sounds interesting. Now I'm losing track of the cross back and forth. Oh, Dave, you are agreeing with Scott that Trek Talks is the Super Bowl of Star Trek. There you go. There you go. Oh, Derek, a fun note. The wife, a federal employee, had been fired and reinstated only to be up for the RIF policies that are going to affect again. Yeah, understand. It's maddening. Yeah, Joel, I guess I should call it Unboxing Day, huh? Yeah, there's a little something that'll make you smile, everybody. Lower Decks, Lower Decks. Yep. The artwork, which is a takeoff, not the poster. Yeah. 5. A little bit of a takeoff on Star Trek 5. Hey, David, you loved Lower Decks. It doesn't have to be past tense. It's not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be around. Softs, you say this underappreciated, but I think it's just Lower Decks has universal love. Now, I know there's some people that they still did not appreciate the sense of humor or the manic pace, but I think it won 80 or 90% of fandom over, in part because it embraced everything else, including the modern shows. If it could, considering that most of the modern shows happen after Lower Decks' time frame, it technically wouldn't. Past Tense Part 1 and Part 2 gave us some of the very best of Trek. Amen. My Figure Universe, Physical Media Forever. Amen. I think we're getting there. This is true, Christoph. We're seeing the limits. This is all figuring itself out, right? Wow, Softs. Well, thank you, man. What do you mean? Do you mean our shows and things here? Well, you should check out everything. You got to check out Portal 47 if you can too. Oh, you're moving back to Indiana. Okay, David. I'm sorry, but you're having to sell stuff. That's rough. Maybe you can get it back in a little bit. Analysis. Your 21-year-old nephew has a large DVD Blu-ray collection, streaming, not forever. Yes, absolutely. What now? Prices are going up on the DVDs. Well, I thought somebody saying somewhere in the passing socials that the season 5 and the big set had been reduced again in price. Hey, My Figure, definitely see you there. Good deal for Trek Talks. Oh, that's interesting. Myth. Okay, you've got a TV at work at the museum. What museum are you at? You should share it with us. That's good. Hey, Derek, thanks for jumping in. And good luck with the Merchantman version 2. The Merchantman redress? Okay. Yes, it's thank you, Christoph. That was my specially planned April Fool's moment. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, Sherry, it's 2025. Isn't there a lot on everybody's mind? Yeah. Yeah. And now to the chat. Okay. There we go. Thank you for explaining our crazy way of doing things here. Yeah. Rose, thank you. Thank you for being able to join us right here. Yes. Oh ho, Christoph, you just ordered your Lower Decks, Lower Decks, Lower Decks season 5 disc. Not from Big A, though. You switched to a GSA market shop. Yes, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, not the General Services Administration. Well, good on you. Good on you. 30 years old. Don't tell the head of Starfleet they won't let a refit happen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, Jim. Happy Trek Tuesday. It's a Treklands Tuesday live. Yes. I wonder a Trekist group for special education can. If not, I need to start one. I'm a former special student. Oh, okay. Hey, Jim. Any updates on Will Rogers Parker Pairs? Well, it's just going to be very slow going. They don't the debris removal from the house hasn't even happened yet because of the pace everywhere and how carefully it's going to be done. And there's this whole thing about the toxic, between the paint and if there was any asbestos. Although I think the asbestos has never been an issue, but it's just a matter of, and it's part of the greater Palisades, and it's just no, it'll be months. There were some attempts to get things running by April and have the polo season back going again because the polo field is basically it's nature will rebound. It's all the man-made aspects that are going to take a while. So, but just to have it open for people to hike through hasn't happened yet, and that may be another couple of months, even that. So, but thank you for asking. The old iron barns that you're talking about, yeah, it's corrugated sheet iron. Iron always sounds so Victorian, but sheet iron was, the corrugated. When you were building scale model houses and barns, you just got aluminum foil and took a real fine tooth comb and dragged it down and got the corrugations, and then you made you homemade you could buy it from Campbell's or you could just make your own sheet iron to do your grain elevator with in HO. And there, zoom, I went over to model railroading and came back. There we go. Hey, Sydney, good to see you. My future tour taker. Sydney's up next on the list of folks doing a Trekland Treks. Sean, thank you. You're all good. No's worried. Wow, Rose. Section 31 on Blu-ray for April 28th. I don't know. We'll let everybody sound off. I've ordered my review copy, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. You might be the only one, Rose. Yes. Oh, thank you, David. City of Industry is where Frank and Son's collectibles show is. It's now across the 60 of Twin Pines Mall location. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Oh, you're in Rowland Heights and then back to Indiana. Okay, well, safe on the packing and the moving, David. Hope you can keep joining us on Tuesdays here. Okay, Sydney, I was going to let you say it. I didn't want to give anything away, but yes, Sydney's doing a Trex tour in May. Sherry, Geek Nation Tour is Terrace Cassidy's company. He takes people to historical sites, military historical sites, and also conventions. And they go to the big gaming conventions he takes 30, 40 people and they all go together. They rent a house, they hang out in the house, they Airbnb a big space during the convention, which is not a real tour, but it's what they call it. And in 2011, he came up to me and said, do you think we, or 2010, do you think we can do a Star Trek tour? And it's the multi-day that's pre-planned. And we go to a mix of places for 5, 6, 7 days. And it evolved into being the week before Vegas. So if you start, we're in LA, and then we pack up and go to Vegas early, go out to the Valley of Fire from Generations and some other Star Trek sites, and then come back in time for Tuesday night Con Eve, and things start on Wednesday. And that is Geek Nation Tours. But you can check them out, geeknationtours.com. They've gone to, I mean, they've done Feudal Japan tour and a Castles on the Rhine tour. They did a Waterloo tour on the 200th anniversary of Waterloo in 2015. Yeah, they've done all kinds of things. Oh, you are going to have internet again on April 22nd. 89er day. What to watch? Wow, Rose. Well, you want to watch everything Trekland, right? Huh. Hey, Myth Dustards. Watching older Sid City social meetings posted from 2022 on YouTube. Saw one episode with O'Brien, stand-in actor for Star Trek. I thought it was insightful hearing those two chat. Yeah, is that Randy Jones? He was. I've had him on Portal 47. Not chatting with Sid, but we try to have a lot of that. We just had a stand-in and a background actor this month. Duncan Fraser from Enterprise. Yeah. That Sky Showtime socials account. Yeah, from the Netherlands. Yeah, that's the one that kind of gave it away. Why the big secrecy, as people were railing about in my I keep forgetting to promote it. I have a Discord live hour meetup for the Trek Files. It's called Trekophiles Tonight. You have to be on the Roddenberry Patreon, the Mission Log Patreon, the Roddenberry Patreon for the Mission Log Discord. There you go. And you can do it for as little as $1 a month. The Roddenberry Patreon you can do for $1 a month, and you have access to the Trek Files, Trekophiles Tonight show, and our boards, but all of the Roddenberry, all the mission logs, all the other not Trek Roddenberry content and their audiences and the discussions there. I'm going to go over and check out what's going on with the Discord as soon as this is over. I blew his mind. Orion spreading the word of Trek. There you go. Okay. There you go. There you go. Anne Marie, you've got a fan here who admires your work, as we all should do. Everybody helping spread. Oh, cool. The Amelia Island Museum of History. Why does that ring a bell? Amelia Island. So off a coast? Texas, Florida? Why does that ring? It used to be a jail before conversion to a museum. Hey, Chris, once again, thank you. Thank you for being a Patreon here, and thanks for having me on your show, The Transporter Room, and thanks for bopping by the Discord show now, the Trekophiles Tonight, on Mondays at 4 Pacific. Every other Monday at 4 Pacific. It's bi-weekly right now. We still have a small audience, but it's growing. I think we may have had up to 8 coming and going yesterday. Hey, Marina, it's always great when you're here. Never late, everybody. So see, I think Section 31 gets a lot of grief, and I'm in the middle of all of that, but I think everything wears on us in time. So, no, Hey, Steve Lee, everybody, from the Hollywood Sound Museum. Future site to be determined, but you can jump over and check out this. He's been a guest here and been a guest on Trek Files. Good to see you, man. Hope I got to you. Hope I got back to you before you moved on. Yeah, that was fun, Chris. Thanks for coming in and sharing and kind of introducing yourself. I brought one person to the Mission Log Discord and the Roddenberry Patreon. Oh, look, we get Got some spam there. At least it wasn't porn spam. Just money spam. Now, what now? Any news of any Star Trek project? Rumors of a Star Trek anime project. Oh, I'm sure there's rumors of a Star Trek anime project out there. I haven't heard any rumors. Maybe somebody else has. I've been a little distracted. I don't know. See, this is why it felt familiar. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah. Amelia Island is near Brunswick, Georgia, near the submarine base, right? Near the old Farragut Studios. Well, and then near the, near off Kingsland, out from Kingsland. Yeah. Thank you. Everybody's chiming in now. Thank you, guys. That is why it rang a bell with me. Thank you, Rose, for doing my job. Thank you for that. No Monty Python spam. Spam. You know, spam was really big on Dr. Demento for a while, and it was never my favorite. I Cheese Shop or the Silly Walks and a million other things. There's one on the Two-Faced album, Matching Tie and Handkerchief, called a Three-Faced album called The Phone In. There's one moment in that I just, the phone in where the people keep calling in questions to a radio talk show and weirdness prevails. The guests are the last people to know what's going on. That's Mr. E. Smegley of Middlestown, isn't it? No, he died. Oh dear. But he left a question in his will. Well, let's have the question then. Okay. And remember, our subject tonight is on farming. Yep. But he left a question in the will. Oh, everybody. Yep. Thanks. I think we're at the end of the chat, gang. So, unless we have a big sudden burst here of enthusiasm, it's good to see everybody. Glad people could come in. Whether you're coming or going or what you're doing today on the Tuesday is a busy chat day here. I know the chat pack is all over. So thanks for spending a little time with me. And thanks for hearing some ramblings about WonderCon. It's just taking it in, and just trying to keep your blinders down. We can't help but be human. But it's always good to pick up notes like that. Nothing earth-shaking. And yet, maybe in 6 months or a year, we'll turn around and go, aha, there you go. Meanwhile, it's Saturday's going to be a very big letter day. Big letter. He's been phoning me up. Is Vic there? Is Vic there, panel? I think that's an obvious question. Apparently, Vic is not here. I'll kill him. I'm glad you could catch it too. I'm glad everybody could be here. Hey, listen, Saturday is coming. So again, happy First Contact Day in advance. Try to catch some or all the Trek Files wherever you are. Especially, I'll be on at 2 p.m. Pacific with Ira and Wolfie and Terry and Blair to talk about the imagination, the foresight, the tragic foresight of future tense, and what is the real world going to do about this finally? What can we do? That's Trek Talks. And maybe I'll see you at Yuri's night if you're around LA. We'll see. Also, again, if you'd like to jump in on the conversation around the Trek Files, just go join the simple little Roddenberry Patreon, $1 a month. The Roddenberry Patreon gets you into the Mission Log Discord, and then you can see all the shows and all the support bases for all the Roddenberry podcasts and some original shows that aren't tied to that have fans running them. They're all good communities. Most of all, you can come in with Trekophiles Tonight every other Monday at 4 Pacific with me. We just had Monday, so it'll be 2 weeks down. So that's happening. Biggest thing of all, though, is, again, jump in. We had our 300th Trek Files episode this week, so please check that out. My special guest is John Billingsley, looking at the roots of Dr. McCoy and also one little bit more about the Trek Talks for this weekend. Sure. Hey, you heard Sydney. She's excited to take her Treks tour that we've all planned out already to the best of our ability. You can too here as we get into spring and summer. If you're headed for LA, you've got a spare day. You got to spend it with me. You got to let me spend it with you and yours on your very own customized away mission. Just get in touch with me at LarryNemecek.com or TreklandTreks.com. Either one. I apparently have lost all my cards here in my newly expanded. Can you tell the newly expanded? So yeah, love to see you download and take advantage of the conversation on the Trek Files mission boards at Disco. That's going to do it for us here. I think, have we covered all the ground? Have we covered all the ground? You guys know the social places. If you're new watching us right now, please make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. It's Larry Nemecek on most of the places like Twitter and Blue Sky. It is Larry's Trekland on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Portal47.net. Check it out. Even if you don't join right now, check it out and see what's happening. Maybe you'll take advantage of some special down the line. Okay, everybody. That's going to do it for this Tuesday. Next week, remember, I'm going to have a guest, Brian Volk-Weiss from the Nacelle Company, talking about those new awesome action figures and what in the world, a guy who's a movie studio TV producer of excellent documentaries like The Center Seat and, oh yeah, The Toys That Made Us. What he's doing making action figures. I can't wait for that. I've really gotten to know Brian the last few years. He's turning up at Vegas, going to be at Vegas for a day this year with a panel and promoting. So excited for that next Tuesday. The rest of the summer, we'll see where we move. Gang, please stay healthy. Do all the things. I had people not being able to participate on the panel at WonderCon because of health issues or health issues dominoing onto them. So please do all the things. And for the love of Kalis, stay awoke out there. Check the sources. Yeah. Trek well, everybody.